why don't we just jump right into what we're looking at and look at starting with the history of the podcast in general. So first I want to ask, before Sacramento became MLS and won their bid, were there any teams that you guys supported individually? And then how did the podcast start? What was your motivation? When did it really start? Things like that.
So I'll start with the teams, and then we'll let Luis tell the story because it's Luis's story. But for me, I've always been a Celtic and Manchester United supporter. Before moving back to Sacramento last August, we lived in the Bay Area, so we kind of supported the team on the far. Can't even see here, the Quakes just a little bit because that was the MLS team that was in the area. My son wanted to go to games, but we always had Sacramento in the ear. We were always watching their matches. So when we moved to Sacramento, my son was like, do we get to leave the Quakes and be Republic fans? And I explained to him, yes. So when we had the downtown rally, my son and I took a sick day from school and headed down there, which was kind of cool. But yeah, we're Sacramento, Manchester United, and most importantly, Celtic supporters in this house. And if you're not a Celtic supporter, you don't get to live here.
I like how your son asked, do we get to leave San Jose? Not do we have to, do we get to?
It was hard, man. He has a mind of his own for a 5-year-old, and he was ready because he's a Kings fan. So it was like, oh, this is Sacramento. This is what we do, and I'm kind of glad that he knew that. Just like you're a Red Sox fan in my house too. You have to get over that.
Interesting.
So I still go for this team too, but my team is Cruz Azul from Mexico. Born and raised, always, just with the team as being my number one. But MLS wise, I mean, I kind of went on and off too. I didn't really have a team that I really supported. I was more like, hopefully it's a California team. I did follow the Galaxy there for a little while, but I mean, to be honest, that was probably just because they would always get a really good designated player. Whereas the Earthquakes never really brought anybody, honestly. It was kind of sad. But
he had a crush on David Beckham, just like everybody else in America.
Adam does too, evidently.
But yeah, so I wasn't really too into the league too. And then 2013 came about. I heard about Sacramento possibly getting a USL team and started to follow it more closely. And then I saw some of the games on TV, their first season. Sadly, wasn't able to go during that first season where they won the championship, but I did get to start going second season, and just got hooked on it. Eventually joined our supporters group, Tower Bridge Battalion, and the rest is history, really. So podcast-wise, how we started, it's kind of funny. We actually could go back to last year because I hopped on Twitter. I posted a tweet asking if anybody would be really interested in starting a Sacramento Republic podcast. And, I had actually listened to 2 or 3 others that were out there. And I always thought it would be great to have something on my own where I could do kind of my own format. I could do it kind of get my own twist to it and, just have a team like that. And I didn't get any response last year. The tweet just kind of went away. And so I looked at possibly maybe joining one of our other local Republic podcasts, but sadly, they actually did not respond to me. They left me on red, and they did send me a spammy Instagram message, which apparently their account had been hacked, which is kind of weird. But this year came about again. It was the beginning of the year, and I thought, why not? Let me send out another tweet. Who knows, it might actually work out this time. And within probably 12 hours, John responded there. He was just like really interested in also joining, and he was just ready to get the ball rolling. So we started to plan things out. It probably took us like 3 or 4 weeks. I know John was pretty like anxious to get the ball going and get it all started, but he bought a mic too. I remember this before we even talked on the phone, before we even hopped on recording. And then so I bought a mic as well, knowing that he had already bought one. I was like, okay, pressure's on to make sure that we get something good. And if you guys go back and listen to that first episode, though, our audio quality is still not really great. Remember, John was having some audio issues when we first hopped on, so he had to actually do it with his AirPods. But yeah, so we recorded the first episode, and then I believe it was the fourth episode that we interviewed our other co-host, Danny Troy. He's actually founder of one of our supporters groups who used to support Reno, and then they had their own story, moved to Sacramento. And so after we did that interview, things really kicked it off between us two. And I remember John telling me, like we should get him back on the show. And so went off from there. And then, we established this whole like 3-team thing with the podcast. And then probably halfway through the podcast as of now, another co-host of ours, Michael, joined in too. He said he had always been interested in being a part of it too. So, we gave him a chance to join the team. And then a little bit afterwards, we started to go on Twitter to ask people if anybody would be interested in writing like some sort of like a soccer column, soccer blog on our website. And we actually got an interest from a player who is currently playing for Orange County Soccer Club over in the USL as well. And so that's Seth Kasipli is his name. And so he joined, and we've had him on a couple of episodes and also some of our lives that we do too. So it's kind of how our team has been kind of growing and molding itself. But I mean, initially the podcast started to, just do some Sacramento Republic talk each week about that, maybe interview some people that are on the team. And so after, COVID hit us and we all started going under quarantine, we had to really plan things out a little bit differently, because now we were, now we weren't going to be covering games too. And so, I think it really helped us because we helped really change the, I guess the main point of the podcast to also, just talk to the soccer community in general. And so that's kind of where we've been at now. We've already had like over 50 podcast recordings. We have like a lot that they're just kind of just waiting to be edited in the works. And so, yeah, it's been really great. We've met a lot of amazing people, and yeah, we've really gotten to know a lot of the soccer community, and now we're here with you guys.